Dear friends, good afternoon. Today is the 10th of October, 1 p.m. here in Lima, Peru. I'm doing this video in English to fulfill the wishes of some of the, I don't know if they're subscribers or they just saw my video, my latest video, and they asked me to translate it. Well, that's what I'm doing now. The video was about Jair Kavanaugh, Jair Bolsonaro, who is the candidate for the Brazilian presidency, and the newly appointed or newly elected mayor of the capital of Peru, Lima, Mr. Jorge Muñoz Wells. What do they have, these gentlemen, these personalities, in common? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I thought when I did my other video. About Jair Kavanaugh, first of all. I watched all the proceedings. I watched the news on CNN, Fox, MSCBC, CBS, MSCBS, I think. I read in the Washington Post because I receive the Washington Post. I read also in the National Review. As you can see, I take my opinions from both sides. But of course, the proceedings were the most important part for me to reach a conclusion. I thought that Dr. Blasey Ford was a card that the Democrats withheld on purpose to the last minute. I believe this woman had an experience, a very traumatic experience, but I don't think that Justice Kavanaugh, because he's sworn in already, had anything to do with that experience. This woman gave no evidence at all of what had happened to her. She did not recall the house. She did not recall the owner of the house. She did not recall what was the gathering for. She did not recall how did she get there or how did she return to her house. She did not talk about this incident with anybody, and her answers to Rachel Mitchell were very vague and very, I think, in some points misleading. I'm not denying that Dr. Blasey Ford, as I said before, had a traumatic experience. But that experience had nothing to do with Jair Kavanaugh. And I saw the ploy that the Democrats were doing against this man. And I think it's shameful. I felt ashamed of watching how women, especially that Senator Feinstein, she's unbelievable, really unbelievable. I don't know how can you stand her. Anyways, I just saw her for a couple of minutes, and I thought, this is a repulsive human being. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what I felt at that moment. Anyways, it is good. It is a very good thing that Justice Kavanaugh is now in the Supreme Court, because I think that the truth had come out, and that's the most important thing, to tell the truth and to uphold to the truth, especially in a country where democracy is the center of everything. I am glad that this episode is gone, but it has shown to the world how low can the left wing can resort to, how should I call it, to destroy anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man. It doesn't matter. It has given to the rest of the world a way of destroying. The Democrats have now the sin to, I don't know if that's the word, anyways, to have given the example of how to destroy anybody that is on your way, on their way actually. Well, that's what happened to Jair Bolsonaro. This man is an ex-captain of the Brazilian army. He is a man of the conservative side. He's very belligerent, but I think he's very true. He's very truthful about his views. He's a pro-life, pro-family person, although there are some things that I don't agree with him, such as, for instance, the death penalty. That's something that I'm not comfortable with. Okay, that's the way to put it. But Jair Bolsonaro began to surge in the election during the first part, and on his way on his tour, because he was touring the country from town to town, an adversary or a person from the other party came up to him and stabbed him in the abdomen. Jair Bolsonaro stayed 1 month in hospital, almost died of that injury. Now, Brett Kavanaugh had seen his life destroyed, because that's something that is not going to be forgotten easily, like Justice Clarence Thomas, for instance. Well, Jair Bolsonaro almost died because of his principles, his values, in the hands of a political opponent. I don't see any difference between those two circumstances. I see that the left all over the world is doing the utmost to destroy every nation, to destroy cultures, to destroy what holds a nation together. Now, here in Lima, I've written things here because I forget very easily. Here in Lima, our new elected mayor is a very politically correct person. And you know what it means. It means that he's pro-abortion, pro-LGBT, pro-gay marriage, and everything that comes with that or with those ideologies. It's unfortunate that he has been elected, but he has only been elected with 36%. So that means that 63% is against him. So he has to be very careful on how he manages the city, on how he gives preference to his friends. For those who have given him the trust to become mayor of Lima. And that's not a small thing. Lima has almost 10 million people here. It has a population of almost 10 million. So this city, in other words, is bigger than some European countries. Liechtenstein, Monaco, Switzerland, Hungary, you name it. There are Sweden. There are many countries that have less population than Lima, Peru. So this is not a small task. Unfortunately for Mr. Muñoz, Peru is a very religious country. We are 85% Catholics. Right now, in October, there is a procession, which is called, I'm going to say it in Spanish first, La Procesión del Señor de los Milagros. I'll try to translate it. It's the procession of the Lord of the Miracles, more or less. Well, this procession is held in Lima, in the capital, and it brings millions of people to the streets. And I'm going to leave a link for you to see, a link in YouTube for you to see how big is the concentration of people. This is a major thing, a major, how do you call it? Reunion. El Señor de los Milagros, or the Lord of Miracles, not only goes through the Liminian, that's what I know it is called, from to the streets of Lima, okay, to make it more clear. He also has processions in Canada, some cities in the United States, in Japan, in Spain, I don't know if in Mexico, but this is as big as Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, Our Lady of Guadalupe. This procession is huge. I mean huge. So to go against this tradition is going to cause Mr. Muñoz a lot of trouble. And all those millions of people have the same values and same principles that I have. They're pro-family, they're pro-life, they're against gay marriage, they're against LGBT, and etc. Mr. Muñoz may have won the majority, but with 36%, he has to be very careful. What I see from Justice Kavanaugh to Jair Bolsonaro to Muñoz is a thread of different views. United States is going back to conservatism. Brazil is rejecting the PT, or Partido de Trabajadores, or the Workers' Party of Lula da Silva, because of the entrenched corruption they had all those years. Dilma Rousseff had to resign because, of course, she was involved. Here in Peru, there is a huge scandal about the corruption that has been done by a Brazilian company, Odebrecht. And there are many big personalities that have been involved, especially or beginning with our ex-president, Mr. Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, who had to resign to the presidency because exactly that, the Odebrecht scandal. This is something that we need to think, we need to be aware of. I don't like the word evil, because evil is very harsh. But the wrong side of the value scale is prevailing in some countries. In other countries, the people has become aware of that. I believe that the United States is awakening right now to this leftist ploys or mistakes. No, they're not mistakes. Well, you know what I mean. You need to fight. That's what I mean. You need to fight. You need to unite all the conservative people from different perspectives, all the conservatives from different perspectives. You need to unite. You need to fight against the left. Don't be afraid of their chanting or screaming or scratching. I'm not. And I'm going to continue to fight them with all my might, with all my effort, with all my heart. Well, that's what I said in my previous video. Is more or less the same, this time in English, and I'm going to continue to translate or talk about things that are common between you in the United States in the United States and us here in Latin America, because what happens in your country is going to be in ours also. It will all, whatever happens in the United States will happen here in Latin America. And unfortunately, we don't have the institutions such as the justice institution or the political institutions or the social institutions that you already have. We need to fight on a very grassroots level. But I'll do it. See you next time. If you want, you can subscribe my channel, although I mostly put in videos in Spanish. I'm also in Facebook, in Twitter, and Google Plus. That's where I take my or hang or publish my videos. See you next time. Have a nice day.